immediately. Assassin has been showing some fantastic skill with that champion. Of course, Rek'Sai being removed as well. It's 4.21 patch still, and Rek'Sai is pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, Rek'Sai is still extremely strong, taking that one away from Xuen. Janna actually being taken away from Lamb, which is, I guess, strange because PYL plays it extremely well, but maybe going for a Thresh first pick doesn't want to have to deal with the disengage.
Yeah, and maybe sort of take up one of the ban slots as well. Let a few more of those high priority picks in. One thing that King have been doing just recently is running sort of that double jungler comp where they've got both Jarvan and Lee Sin as well, really sort of clearing the board of the possibilities here. But with Xuen, I mean, he's not necessarily the most high-class jungler here so far. Of course, LGD known for having really strong laners, but Xuen not quite up there just yet.
Yeah, it certainly has been struggling a little bit to recent time as we see Rengar and Kassadin actually being taken off the board. And straight away, they recognize that King have been running that Jarvan Lee Sin. They take it away, make sure Xuen has something that can get around, impact early, because he's looked okay in the mid game. It's really the early game where he hasn't looked great. Hasn't been able to get his laners ahead.
Yeah, that's right. And we'll see whether this is going to be a top lane Jarvan as well. Really sort of wipe the board of those junglers with Rek'Sai and Rengar on the ban list. Then MLXG going to have to come out with something very different. Wushin now thinking about a Kalista, but the Thresh high priority here being sort of second tier under Janna as far as the priority of picking is concerned.
Yeah, I certainly think the Thresh is a good pickup as it is locked in. That takes it away from PYL, also allows Lamb to have a comfort champion. In the top lane, Rumble, very interesting matchup because blind picking it, Rumble does well with low resources, does well in a lane swap, so it leaves the board open a lot. But also we've seen the likes of Aurelia go into that top lane and really be able to deal with it. Even as yesterday, we saw a Maokai up there really pressuring the lane. So Acorn plays both those champions, and it's a dangerous first pick, I believe.
Oh, it definitely is, and the answering Aurelia coming in potentially immediately here. Imp wanting to lock down Kalista for the third time in a row. He's had mixed success. Interesting item build paths here as well. We've seen almost every different way to build Kalista here in the LPL, and we'll see what Imp decides to go for this time.
Yeah, so locking that Kalista in means that they can go for a hard gauge and support as well. And we've seen Kalista nearly coupled with absolutely everything. Does extremely well in lane. Scales up, kind of has a trough if you go the Hurricane build or the IE build. I don't think either of them really are optimal because she needs that raw stats from the AD as well as some attack speed to get going. But once she picks up the 2-3 items, just does so much damage through the rend.
Yeah, and just so much dancing around in these team fights as well. Wushin looking to pick up sort of that engage AD carry, is going to lock away that Sivir, and Vi is the option for MLXG. So Lee Sin just goes completely unnoticed.
Yeah, and I like the pickup of the Vi. I think the more we see of Kalista in the bottom lane, the more Vi we will see worldwide because she is one of the best counters. Being able to get that Assault and Battery into the queue as well really ensures that you lock Kalista down for that good 2-3 seconds. And on top of an Equalizer with a Thresh there as well to continue the flays, they do have a good dive comp, and Wushin's just going to be able to get everyone on top of this Kalista.
Yeah, and it looks like they're going for some heavy engage. Of course, waiting to pick their mid laner last. Assassin looking to counter pick that one away. It might be against Wayless on this LeBlanc as well as the timer does run out. LeBlanc locked in here, and I love the Leona pick. Throwing a Leona right into the middle of a team, knocking everyone up, being able to get a Solar Flare down there as well. This Fate's Call is going to be so useful coming out of him.
Yeah, it certainly is. We'll also be able to save him if PYL goes a little bit too deep, can pull him back and re-engage with it. So that is definitely something to be a possibility. I like the response out of Assassin here. If they go a team fight against a Kalista, a Jarvan, Aurelia, that's just so much dive to get onto the carries. I think they need someone that can split push, really throw a spanner in the works. So looking towards that Fizz, looking towards the Zed.
Yep, and the Fizz has been locked in, as you mentioned. So Assassin definitely going to be on an Assassin this game. We've seen him play this one before, and we'll see whether he's going to be able to set up that split push or whether Wayless is just going to have his way with him in the mid lane.
Yeah, it certainly is a difficult matchup for the Fizz. It takes a lot of auto attack harass in the early. That distortion just means it is very hard to be able to get your full combo out on a LeBlanc. Yeah. But in saying that, if you do hit the fish, you can chase a very long distance on Fizz. And of course, the nerfs haven't come through yet. He's unchanged. So still that very big, explosive assassin in the mid lane.
Yeah, not going to be sort of that damage amplification fish where you really have to land it. Going to be able to really put the pressure on even early on, potentially. So we'll see whether Assassin's going for any of these you know, level 3 plays, but against a LeBlanc, it could be pretty dangerous, despite the fact that he has that auto attack reduction on his passive.
Yeah, it certainly can. And I think the good thing for LGD's lineup is they've got two very mobile scaling carries in the LeBlanc, in the Kalista. So MLXG really needs to pick who he singles out here in the team fights, and I think it's a lot on Assassin to be able to take them out without using his fish, just a Vi ultimate, and then being able to use the fish on the second one to remove the second threat, because they're just dangerous across the board here and have a lot of explosive damage.
Yeah, and would you say that Kalista is fantastic against this Rumble as well, being able to dance out of the way of that equalizer if it does come down, stay out of trouble? I believe you can even dash over a Cataclysm coming through from Jarvan, and you know, if he happens to get trapped by his own team member.
Yeah, I certainly think it is a very good, I guess, against immobile carries like a Rumble.
Yeah, but we are going to get onto the Rift, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go anywhere. And here we are with LGD taking on King. LGD now on our blue side, fanning out across the map, and King on the red. Going for a bit of a tankless lineup here. Could be a little bit dangerous, but we'll see whether they can put the pressure on around that dragon earlier on, utilizing this incredibly effective equalizer.
Yeah, I think it depends exactly how MLXG does build. You can, of course, go pretty tanky on that fire. LGD looking for an early invade here, trying to get a deep ward down. They've got 5 members strong. They're looking for a lane swap. Maybe trying to dodge the Wushin lane, although maybe trying to actually seek it out, because I know Kalista does terrific against the early game Sivir. That spell shield just does absolutely nothing.
Yeah, you can manage to, if you can time the rend, it works out, but of course, there's nothing to say when that's going to go off, and it's instant, so very, very difficult to do. Wushin going to have a rough time. Of course, Liam on this Thresh, they do have some engage potential, but against a Leona, it's not what you're going to want to do.
Yeah, it certainly is, and I think it'll be waiting for the Leona to try and engage on them, play it back out of the Zenith Blade, and then just go for all the poke damage. Of course, having the ranged matchup against the Leona means that you can just stop the engage and just try and whittle them down. They don't have much sustain apart from that Relic Shield.
Yeah, and keeping PYL low on health so he can't just Zenith Blade in and stun everyone up for ages. It's definitely handy, as Xuen and Akon just hanging around here at this Grump. Of course, TBQ or Xuen. It's a little bit confusing here. Chinese players often go with different names, but we'll go with Xuen instead of TBQ.
Yeah, it's just much easier to say, especially in the
let's
middle of a team fight. So both junglers starting on the same side of the map. This means that the bottom lane will actually be swapped around. The freeze hasn't come out from either. It looks like it's actually Wushin and Lamb that has dodged the 2v2, ran up through the river. They're going to be able to get the 2v1 against the Aurelia. As I said, Rumble just deals so much better with 2v1 situations than Aurelia does. You generally do need to throw the support into Aurelia's lane so she can grab that farm. Very reliant on getting that first big item, the Trinity Force.
Yeah, whereas Sky, he just wants to get that magic penetration down, make sure that he has that option for level 6 so that Equalizer can do some work, but base damage is going to be enough here. And very good as a resourceless top laner here in this Rumble.
Yeah, it certainly is, and I think that we're hearing that a lot at the moment. I think that it's a little bit overstated. I think that, yeah, sure, the magic penetration build's certainly fantastic, but we've seen out of these 2 damage comps, if Rumble falls too far behind, that does just become an equalizer bot in the late game, and very hard to close out a game before the 35-minute mark, so you do need some farm onto your top laners.
Yes, we'll see whether Akon can get any at the moment. Is just going to be teaming up with his buddy here, Xuen, hanging out, doing that red buff, and he just doesn't want anything to do with this lane. And it's been noticed by King, and they've decided to push this one in. Assassin being forced to play very far back, hasn't hit that level 2 just yet. I mean, level 3 just yet. As he's going to dodge out of the way of a Q. Very nice little moves there on this Fizz.
Yeah, certainly has. Got the better of that trade by a long way, actually. So now he's picked up the level 3. Has a big creep wave, needs to deal with this. But the fast push coming through in the top lane, they're going for the turret versus the dragon in the bottom. So this is what we're seeing a lot more in the NALCS especially. Teams electing to go for early gold over dragons. Dragons are terrific once you get those 2 big items. But early game, gold is absolutely king. So LGD, whilst they grab the dragon, will lose out on the turret.
Yeah, and this may actually start that objective snowball here for King if they manage to get some extra damage down. King deciding to back off from this one. Wushin continuing the attack on the turret, but as the only one, they're not going to really do much more than take half health. But that is going to be Assassin getting first blood in a 1v1 in the mid lane.
Yeah, it certainly isn't. We mentioned that Fizz can struggle, obviously playing this extremely well, getting on there, completely even CS and picking up a first kill. That is bad news for the LGD lineup.
Yeah, and we've spoken about Wayless as well. When he's on, he is definitely unable to carry for LGD, but sometimes things don't go quite as well, and this might be one of those times. It's a bad sign early on.
Yeah, it certainly isn't. The lane is actually reversing in the bot and the top, so it doesn't look like either turret will fall. I thought King would have pushed that one a little bit harder, but the early defense is coming through. Now they need to get the junglers into the lanes because they're pushing back, and you don't want Rumble frozen off all of that farm.
Most certainly not. He needs to be able to get at least those levels. As soon as he's getting zoned off experience, things are a problem. Lamb standing on a ward.
It looks like Lamb will go down and try and support Sky in this bottom lane. The duo lane for LGD sticking together. So PYL going to come back to Imp. It's important to keep your support with your Kalista just because of how that passive works on your W.
A lot of pings going down in King's jungle here by themselves, looking to get some vision down, of course. Pink ward nicely placed towards that blue buff, but a bit blind on the top side. And when you've got Wushin hanging around there, they need to keep care of their AD carry.
So Assassin actually going for some early CDR, so we're not going to see the rush on the Lich Bane coming through. Acorn actually soaking up some experience, looking to grab some CS as well.
Ooh, a bit late on the spell shield there by Wushin, but he's going to be fine. Just takes an equilibrium strike and backs away.
Yeah, so the CDR build I think is actually gaining popularity on Fizz. You go the Morellonomicon, you transfer it into the Lucidity boots. It means you are very, very safe as Acorn trading extremely beneficiary. Oh, he needs to be careful.
Yeah, Wushin is actually potentially getting baited in just here, but
I was actually talking about Acorn.
ready.
Counter ganks here.
Yeah, Wushin actually getting caught up though. He's going to blow that flash, but he's so low on health. There's the heal as well. Boomerang Blade not going to find Acorn, but MLXG just punches him in the noggin. And is going to have to chase onto Schwen if he wants to find this kill, but already a nice 2-0 start. Oh my goodness, that Vault Breaker was so much damage.
Yeah, the reason they needed to be careful in that is because if I counter gank after all the AoE comes out of Jarvan, it's just so much bigger hook in the bottom lane.
Yeah, there's the flayback on a PYL here as well. Imp's trying to get the damage down. That Flame Spitter doing some work though. The exhaust to come down onto Imp as well. Lamb, nice use of that one. Sky unable to get far. There's the rend and PYL picks up the kill. And Lamb might be in trouble now as well as there's the Fate's Call to come down. Imp gets hooked under the tower. He's going to get taken. Lamb, he smells blood. The Flay to come through, levels up for some health, and PYL's not finished. Shield of Daybreaks here, does get the shield, and then flashes out. Easy as you like.
Yeah, so in the end, a 2-for-1 trade coming through. Support's picking up the last 2 kills there, but that's in Kalista's. Oh, actually, he got both of them, PYL, so he's a bloodthirsty support. That's actually not too bad, because he's going to be extremely tanky throughout this mid-game now that he's managed to pick that up. Ward control is also very important against King. We spoke about that. So, fantastic job from the support. In the top lane, however, you really need to dodge Vi's Vault Breaker, otherwise she does so much damage, and we saw that really come through. Also extremely difficult as a top laner to be able to compete with the heal, and we saw that in both situations. The AD carries baiting the top laners in with the heal. They're overextending. They don't have that combat summoner spell. They're taking teleports, of course, so they just in the end get outplayed across the map.
And of course, top laners in these situations not used to dealing with that heal at all in general.
Yeah, exactly right. And it looks like we will actually see the Runan's Hurricane build coming through from Imp this game. I don't mind it so much because there won't be many tanky members with a lot of health, which kind of means the Blade of the Ruin King path is a little bit wasted. I do think that a pickaxe is a good option beforehand, however, just so you get a little bit of damage or a BF sword, but going for that Ren, stack up the big E and be able to take people out.
Yeah, Imp actually getting aggressive here on the bottom side. Zenith Blade lands onto King here. There's the Lantern to come through as well, but Imp just rends him to death. Gets the reset on that one. Fate's Call for the knock-up here onto Wushin as well. He's popped the ult, but he's not going anywhere. Jumping out of the boomerangs, and Imp, an easy double kill in the bottom lane.
Yeah, and we mentioned how Kalista does fantastically against Sivir. That is really no AD versus a BF sword Sivir and still able to take out as easy as you like. A lot of the passives being procced from the Leona as well. PYL playing the lane fantastically so far, and they need to really get Vi into this bottom lane to try and sort this out because Kalista just explodes when she gets items. And now 2-1 and 2, 63 CS at only 9 minutes in, has finished up that Hurricane build.
Yeah, and that's actually PYL going back, does have those mobility boots now, as well as that Sightstone so far ahead of Lamb now, who doesn't have the Sightstone yet available, forced to buy these wards. That's only going to delay it even further. Is MLXG looking for Acorn here a little bit, but decides he just wants to Vault Breaker over the wall. It's a very good idea to pick up those Scuttle Crabs. Fantastic.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's good, easy early gold as Assassin once again out playing Wayless there for some harass.
Yeah, fantastic use of this Playful Trickster whenever that distortion is to come through. Really great Fizz play, although still falling behind in the CS department. MLXG looking for a dive onto Akon. There's the Assault and Battery, but the Equalizer in the wrong position. Sky tanking up this turret for a little bit too long. MLXG, he's in trouble as well, and a failed dive onto Akon.
Yeah, that was a horrible Equalizer, and we see more action in the bottom lane.
Yeah, Schwen actually getting caught up here as well as Wushin's going down solo. Lamb's gonna die though, and Imp in with even more damage with that Hurricane. And when there's multiple members there, that Rend is doing so much work.
Yeah, and that was just a bad move out of MLXG to go into the top lane and try and impact it. We've mentioned how Sky doesn't really need the resources that maybe an Aurelia does, so you need to get down, try and impact Imp because he's 3-1 and 3 now and ready to bust open this mid game.
He certainly is, and if we're talking about the top lane, it's 33 to 62 in that farm. Sky falling drastically behind as Acorn managing to have a free time there on the top side of the map. Sky in a bit of trouble.
Yeah, and they've really misplayed this. They've lost the first turret now in the bottom lane. They've lost 2 dragons as well. Even the lane where they had the advantage, the mid lane, because of that roam, now 2 assists onto Wayless and a 20 CS advantage. He's going to be completely fine as well now. So a big gold deficit for only 11 minutes in, 3,000 in the favor of LGD.
Yeah, and Assassin unable to translate this lead into lane dominance. As you mentioned, that farm, no worries at all here for Wayless, and might have just been a slight mistake in that mid lane. Of course, we didn't see it. But if anyone's able to gank a LeBlanc, it is going to be MLXG on this Vi.
Yeah, it certainly is, and that's a confusing thing, that he has so many squishy lanes as he's getting caught out.
Oh, Solar Flare only going to land the slow here as Imps found his way in. Playful Trickster from Assassin gets him to safety, and LGD looking to put the pressure on towards this top side. Sky, you're in trouble, man.
Yeah, 4-man rotation coming through, and they're not even choosing to push mid or bottom in response. They're just going to let this one fall. Everyone has backed off, and it looks like King have really ceded control over all of the map in danger territory.
Yeah, LGD just rotating around, picking off these objectives, and their lanes in exactly the positions that they want.
Yeah, and in the end, they only have to send 2 members into this top lane to try and take it out. And the rest of the members now mid, no one there in response, so they might even be able to get a lot of damage down here.
Yep, Imp makes short work of that topside turret. That Hurricane helping that attack speed. Doesn't have a lot of AD, but can dance around and get some auto attacks in. Assassin now able to clear out this mid as, Descent goes wide. MLXG forced to use that flash, even though the Dark Passage was there.
Yeah, and a lot of Vi's early game damage is that Q Vault Breaker, and if you miss it, you just really don't contribute much outside of the ultimate, so has to flash out. That's a wasted summoner spell, and I don't really know what they're expecting to get there because Assassin was very far back underneath his turret. There's an unequal amount of members here, and probably couldn't have won even if it hit.
Yeah, decent Urchin Strike, but Assassin takes so much damage from the combo out of Wayless as that Mimic is available.
So Morellonomicon finished off for both mid laners. Actually looks like maybe Merc Treads or something coming out for Wayless in the mid lane. Maybe even going for that Abyssal Scepter that we've seen a little bit more against the double AP compositions. Probably more likely that. And Acorn has just cemented a nearly 40 CS lead on what was a non-favorable lane swap. You saw him actually get bullied around a little bit. Double kill going over to MLXG. So really credit to LGD's vision control. Much superior in this game, getting farm onto their carries and being able to rotate and move around the map to get people into areas where they can farm unharassed. Imp's the strongest member, so he can farm anywhere, but Acorn really did need his hand held a little bit after that Vi gank, and they've pulled it off extremely well.
Yeah, and you were talking about Imp needing to pick up some damage. He has a BF sword in his inventory now, and you mentioned strongest member. It's definitely looking that way as this Kalista is able to scale up into this game. Probably going for that Bloodthirster next, you'd have to say, but you know, wouldn't put it past him to pick up an Infinity Edge.
Yeah, I think Bloodthirster is a much better item. We talk about it a lot. If you're able to survive the initial burst as a Kalista, you just put out so much damage with that rend. You really don't need the critical strike coming through. So it's better to be safe and putting out consistent damage than it is to really be able to impact with these big crits. But we see a dive coming in on the top lane.
Yeah, Flag and Dragon to be flashed out of the way of the Equalizer to come down on top. Sky still alive here. TBQ taking a lot of damage. The Assault and Battery to come down gets dented into the face as MLXG now trying to put some more pressure on. Ooh, Charm the Water's going to get dodged out of the way, but it's a nice death sentence. Just steals him away. Fate's call. See you later, PYL.
Yeah, we mentioned how good it is as a saving ability, and all the meanwhile, even though they trade 1-for-1 in the bottom lane, this Aurelia is just continuing to farm up an absolute storm. 110 CS now. After a lane swap, only 20 behind the highest on the map. That is terrific work out of Akon. He's really played this well.
And this is the difference between King and LGD's playstyle here as well, is that when they're all moving somewhere, then you've got Acorn in the bottom side creating pressure elsewhere. They're always doing this double-pronged attacks, whereas King, we've seen them get caught out of position and unable to capitalize on the movements of LGD as a team.
Yeah, even the turret dive that really took a lot too long to kill Sky there wasn't really turned around in their advantage. The Fish missed another time for Assassin. He hasn't had the best ultimate so far this game. And it's just a vision control. LGD can see anything on the map unless it's in the base before it's even happening on the top side of the map. So they're comfortable to make decisive plays because they know exactly where King are going to be when they respond.
You can see as well, LGD, they own that top side of the map for King here as well. No vision around that dragon just yet. Up in about 40 seconds as King. They're going to move forward and try and cement some vision around there.
Because of the accelerated pace of the dragon, normally you say if you can't contest the first two with a rumble, then it's a very bad news story. Of course, LGD already have their second, but if they can't fight this one, then LGD have completely nullified the dragon pickup throughout, the rumble pickup throughout these early dragon fights. Looking for a pick, however, onto Schwent.
Actually, the Sentinel going to spot them out though, ruin their day on that one just a little bit. Haunting Guys has been finished by Sky. Hit a decent power level for this next potential dragon fight, but he's in the top lane. Does have teleport available here, though.
Yeah, but the problem is that he needs to be there to get it started. If he's not there to get a good equalizer onto Imp and force him out of the fight early, he can just go absolutely nuts. As we see, Acorn already down here.
Yeah, Wushin clearing out that ward that's been put down. LGD now in position to clear out the vision.
They've completely given up control over the dragon area. With how much damage Imp will do, this is going over once again to LGD.
Yep, Kalista fantastic at securing these neutral objectives. King don't want to give it away for free. Goes down to 2 health. He's going to be secured by LGD though, and here's the fight. Assault and Battery actually onto Schwent straight up, but look at the explosive distortion damage. PYL's on a killing spree, but King are doing work in this backside. Acorn's going to fort. MLXG gets healed out of nowhere as Wayless, the last man standing, and King with a beautiful team fight.
Dangerous game. MVP baited 2 members in for MLXG to be able to turn around and participate in the end of that fight. Fantastically fought for King. Great equalizer. They might even be able to pick up a couple of turrets.
Yep, Sky actually going to use that scrap shield just to tank out a little bit more of the damage from this turret. And King, I mean, we're talking about their map movements not necessarily working out, but their team fighting prowess is definitely on show this game.
Yeah, it certainly is. And if we take another look at it here, it was a missed hook and PYL overcommitted, and just so much damage came out of Assassin's Fizz here, able to do a lot of work. And in the end, Wayless took him out. But right here, we see the dangerous game come through onto MLXG, and they're able to pick Wayless up to really swing the fight in their favor. If he was able to maybe get MLXG off that one, try and have a fancy escape would have been different, but just so much damage coming out of this early game buy.
Yeah, we just saw how that Urchin strike, I mean, it doesn't matter what Imp does, he's still going to take gigantic burst from this Fizz, who's just going to be launching at him, and so mobile here as well.
Yeah,
Lamb going to find a creep wave.
Now has the 35% CDR, even without a blue buff. If he's got anything on his runes or masteries there, probably up to 40%. Picked up a needlessly large rod as well, so actually that was a solar flare coming out from PYL, trying to steal that blue buff away. So there might be a small window here where, once again, King are happy to try and fight.
Yeah, Wayless actually looking for a potential assassination, but not going to happen this time. He's just going to clear out that wave. Of course, now LeBlanc Maxing that distortion, able to clear out waves relatively effectively.
And also the needlessly large rod coming through from Sky as well. So they've actually got another brief window here where they might even be stronger in the team fights if they can get rid of Imp. There is so much gold sitting on the AD carry and support from LGD that it's a little bit skewed because they're 1,000 gold up each. So that's a 2,000 gold lead right there. But PYL, whilst he's going to be tanky and a nuisance to deal with, Fizz isn't really going to mind. He's going to jump back, get onto those carries. If he can get rid of Imp, then it's back to an even team fight straight away.
Yeah, PYL actually going to get slowed down here a little bit by the Harpoons. The blue buff is under fire here, but it's going to be taken by Wayless without any problem. Schwen clearing out this ward here as well. And King now sort of with a little bit more confidence. You can see them moving around as a team, letting Assassin split push, making the moves and making LGD play their game. Descent's not going to find the target. And their vision's a bit better. And
the lull here is very good for LGD, but you have to remember they've got 2 extra turrets on the map, and both of them relatively low in the bottom and top lane. So King are able to siege down either of these turrets, equalize the gold. This is Fizz's sweet spot in the game. Moving into that death cap, we'll be able to get an extra rotation out with all the CDR coming through. And Imp really needs to be able to survive the initial burst. Otherwise, it's pretty bad news out of the team fight.
And do you think that Imp almost going to be forced to purchase sort of an early Banshee's Veil, something with a bit of defensiveness, just so that he can survive that initial burst and then get some consistent damage in these fights?
Yeah, Banshee's Veil or QSS, I wouldn't be surprised if he wanted to be able to drop that fish as well, dance himself out of that Chumba water, because it just means that if he gets hit by it, it's so much easier for Assassin to be able to blow him up, MLXG on top of him as well, and there's just a little bit of hard CC. But Banshee's Veil, also good pickup, has some health available. The problem is that there's such a tanky member now in MLXG. He's gone for the Warmogs. We see this against AP and AD mixed compositions a lot. Just gives you so much raw health that if no one is able to kill this Vi, she's going to wreak havoc throughout with the base damage that comes through.
Yeah, MLXG has also had a brilliant game here as well. 4-0-4, as we saw in that last fight, able to just survive and do the work and locking down these targets. And you were talking about, you know, Vi being the hard counter here to Kalista, and we were talking about as well, Imp, they're relying on him to do a lot of this work.
Yeah, it certainly is. Nice harass coming out of Wayless in this bottom lane, but a lot of members here, so he's going to have to back off. Assassin going back probably to pick up that arm guard. Wayless did go for the raw penetration build coming through with the Sorcerer boots, as well as that Abyssal Scepter. I like that. Gives a lot of mid-game power over to the LeBlanc. Makes it a little bit tankier as well to deal with this double AP. But the Zhonya's Hourglass now finished in the top lane, and King are in a very good spot to be able to just bully these mid-game fights. Not through any form of gold lead or dragon lead, just through raw team fighting prowess at this point in the game with the Rumble, with the Sivir being able to get on top of the carries.
Yeah, and what's the answer to that to come out from LGD? Do they just need to be rotating around and picking off the objectives that they can get, maybe going in for favorable trades?
No, they just need to keep split pushing. I think no one can really deal with the Aurelia at this point. Picked up the Merc Treads, picked up the Trinity Force, able to push through these lanes and just get their carries to late game. Once Schwen and PYL are tanky monsters and they can't really be blown up by this Fizz and they have a very good front line, then the team fights will slowly swing back in their favor. So as long as they don't get hard engaged upon in this mid game, and you see they're going to the 1-3-1 split push right here, then they'll be absolutely fine just taking control of the map.
Yeah, both other lanes now as King, 5 members strong in the mid, but they're going to lose potentially an inner turret on both sides of the map. They have to be very decisive with their movements. Acorn going to take down the top inner turret. Wayless doing some work here on the bottom inner as well. Has another creep wave coming up. Inner turret in the mid lane is going to fall down, but this is the type of trade that LGD want to make. They want to use their split pushes and take away 2 turrets. Ooh, MLXG looking for an assault and battery. Doesn't find a target that he wants. As PYL is probably not the one that he wants to be grabbing.
Certainly not, and we see that they're trying to get position around this dragon and make them fight, but at this point in the game, LGD are 3-0. They don't really have to face check it, so King are going to have to fly in for a long-range engage.
Yeah, there's On the Hunt being popped here as well. MLXG over the wall there as TBQ comes to meet him. He might be in trouble as Imp just gets assassinated. Assassin in there with a lot of damage as well. Acorn going to fall down. That's the tanky member. He's off the board. PYL in a lot of trouble, and that's 3 members dead for LGD. If King can do anything, they can team fight.
Yeah, they can force so hard. We saw how far across the map MLXG was able to fly, and the impressive thing, Assassin could follow him on this Fizz, got onto Imp there, was able to really turn that one in their favor, might pick up a Baron. They will pick up a Baron. LGD want nothing to do with this mid-game King lineup.
Yeah, LGD actually looking to trade it by taking away that first Dragon potential from King, and it's sort of like the consolation prize that they don't really feel great about as the Baron falls down as well. The empowered recall's coming down, and LGD, they are going to be able to take away this Dragon, but this Baron buff's going to really help that siege.
Yeah, I don't know if they are not going to be unhappy with it because they're on 4 Dragons at 24 minutes in the game.
Yeah, that's true.
So they have the potential for a 30-minute 5-Dragon lineup if they're able to steal away one more. The team fights would definitely start going in King's direction, but they'll probably only be able to pick up maybe 2 or 3 outer turrets for this one. Probably won't feel comfortable diving in inhib turret at this point in the game. So things still okay for LGD, but they're starting to definitely look up for King.
Yeah, they really are. 1,000 gold is still the lead here for LGD, though, even after that Baron fell down. So they'd be feeling good. I mean, once they get some more items here onto Imp, that Mikhail's to come through from PYL potentially as well to keep him healthy, keep him safe.
Yeah, they really need... got to question the Jarvan build here with that greedy Banshee's Veil. They need a Locket of the Iron Solari to come through. Really help their AD carriers. Wayless looking for a potential assassination.
Oh, he's going to find Wushin here, but nice spell shield's going to help him out of that one, and Wayless forced it back.
Yeah, actually burns a passive there as well. A lot of damage coming out, and Aurelia forced to abandon this split push. The turret fell in the top lane. Gold completely equal 25 minutes in.
And Assassin looking to find someone in transition. Has a few options for deletion.
Yeah, so the Baron buff now halfway through. Looks like they will only be able to pick up the second outer turret, so not even 3 turrets potentially coming from this Baron buff. So you have to say, yeah, it turned the game back in King's favor. They're now ahead in probably most aspects with where their team spikes and the items they're able to pick up. But not horrible news for LGD. They still have the control over the Baron. They've completely shut King out of that objective. Their vision control has fallen off. They need to re-establish that and not get picked off. But they still have the potential of this late game Aurelia, this late game Kalista coming through. So not all bad news.
Yeah, LGD actually looking to fight over their own red buff here as the outer turret goes down in the bottom side of the map. Wushin going to pick that one up. Beautiful steal with a death sentence. No worries, Lane picks up the red.
Yeah, able to grab the red, and now they're pushing in with the end of their Baron buff for one more turret. Looks like LGD might even give it up, so they're able to get the 3 turrets. So that's a fantastic Baron. They've turned it into an okay situation, into a very good situation. Picking up a 2,000 gold lead from a 2,000 gold hole. King playing this later part of the mid-game really well.
Yeah, and are they on a timer here at all? Is LGD going to scale to a point where they're going to easily be able to fight King? Is this the sweet spot that King have to win the game in? Or are they going to be able to continue this into the late game?
Yeah, it's kind of 2 different comps, and it will come down to execution in the end. This is what King are looking to do. Exactly what they did there. They're looking to get vision control, deny that, set up in a brush, and take out one of the 2 carries. On the other side of the rift, LGD are looking to get Aurelia into a spot where she can split push against anyone or team fight and get some good flanks. Get onto Assassin, make sure that he's using the ult defensively, and then really Imp can deal with everyone else on the lineup but Assassin. So it really comes down to how well Acorn can play this.
Yeah, and she actually finds Imp here as well, but he's dancing around, manages to kill him almost immediately. Lamb now in a lot of trouble as Assassin, he's found Imp. Imp's now going to die. The Zhonya's Hourglass to come through as Wushin is tearing apart the members of LGD. Wayless going to get found out here as well as his clone's going to be discovered, and man, such sacrificial play by MLXG, but that was everything used from Imp, and Assassin just destroyed him.
Yeah, and that's what I was talking about. You saw that MLXG didn't have the tools himself to be able to take it up. It wasn't until Assassin came through that he was really able to turn that fight on its head. So great play there, looking for a re-engage potentially, but not going to find anything. And so much pressure on Assassin now to be able to continue to remove this Kalista from the map. When some magic resist comes through, the Blade of the Ruined King and the Bloodthirster have now been finished off, going to get harder and harder to kill as the game goes on. But as long as he can keep doing it, the team fights are going to keep going to King.
Yeah, and that's an inhibitor turret down as well. The inhibitor does live. King not wanting to overstay their welcome there in the mid side of the map. So, of course, not going to have those super creeps to deal with LGD. A little bit more time, a little bit more space, less pressure on this team. But you were right, in finishing off this Blade of the Ruined King, going to be a big deal, able to restore a bit of his health. and has double lifesteal items now as well. So if he's left alone, I mean, he has to get bursted down instantly if he's going to die.
And they've actually put PYL on duty of picking up the locket. It doesn't look like one is coming through from Schwen at all. So once again, got to really question these builds coming through from LGD. If they had a locket, it would be so much easier to survive the upfront burst with the locket shield, with the Bloodthirster shield, as well as the face of the mountain. That's just so much raw health to give your AD carry with double lifesteal items, but not available.
Yeah, actually, TBQ going to get his Banshee's Veil there stopped. Solar Flare dodged out of the way with the Playful Trickster, and the inhibitor falls down. And King look to back away. They want to turn their attention elsewhere. Dragon up in another 40 seconds. The 5th Dragon for LGD and the 1st for King. Both very important to gather, but King really want to stop LGD from picking that one up. Look at that cute little ward out behind King. I think LGD are aware of the position here.
Yeah, but they certainly still need to be careful because they've got the vision of one exit. They just don't have the vision of the other. And now King's gone around that side. So LGD, they're going to lose control of this Dragon area, so they might not be able to pick up the 5th one there, but the danger still looms. If the Miracle Steal comes through, or something just goes terribly wrong for the mid King lineup, they really do need to misplay at this point for Assassin to not be able to take out that Callista. But
yeah,
as I said, the items are starting to come through for LGD, so teamfights can swing back.
And LGD not looking to lose this last Dragon without a fight, as a nice Dark Passage going to help Sky get back to his team. And King looking to bait this one out. They know they want to be team fighting, and they've been getting them on their terms as well. LGD looking to back away.
Yeah, LGD completely backed away from this one. They're going to be too late in getting here unless Schwen can get a great steal.
Yep, not going to be able to. Ooh, flag and drag over, but has to flash back out again.
Definitely worth going for it, because if they had have picked up that Dragon, game swings back in their favor. They're 2,000 gold behind. The double buffs coming through from the Dragon is just too good to not go for something like that. Flash will be up, and they're really not looking to fight in the next 5 minutes until they're able to finish off the locket of the Iron Solarian, until Aurelia can get some more tools in her kit to be able to deal with this one. So definitely worthwhile there.
Yeah, and the thing that we haven't mentioned here as well is Wushin, who's managed to pick up 3 big items, now has a pickaxe going towards that 4th item, that last Whisper, in order to really round out his damage potential. This Sivir is going to be doing massive amounts of work, and there's almost nothing that LGD want to do about it because they have to kill Assassin. They have to kill this Rumble doing so much work, and if MLXG is able to get these Assault and Batteries onto Imp, they have to kill him too.
Yeah, so I think that, yeah, definitely Wushin will do damage because of the circumstances. Still don't think he will do as much raw damage as Imp in these team fights if he can avoid Assassin. But yeah, because of the priority of threats, the AoE that will come across from Sivir throughout these team fights definitely will be in her favor.
Now, red buff going to be taken here by Imp as well. Baron is back alive, and King wastes no time starting this one up. No vision available for LGD, and it is getting decimated.
Health bars are going a little bit low on Sky, though, so they might look to fight this one.
Potentially, PWL gets hooked up here. Fate's Call is available. He just gets pulled out, and not going to find anything. There's the Assault and Battery to come through onto Imp here in the backline. PWL soaks up that Chum the Waters, but King members are falling left, right, and center as Acorn has got blood in his eyes. Wayless comes in here again, but Wushin is just too strong. The double kill for Wayless responded here by Wushin, but Wushin in a lot of trouble, and MLXG, the only one alive.
Yeah, and that fight went absolutely horrible because MLXG dove through a passage that the rest of his team couldn't follow. That was the best Cataclysm I think I have ever seen. It blocked the complete path of everyone else on the team. No one could follow MLXG. Schwen has just completely miracle saved a team fight.
It was beautiful to see as well, and Sky using that equalizer very early and no one getting hit. That Fate's Call being fantastic at just pulling PYL out of trouble. And LGD, they are definitely back in this one. Of course, the gold has never been far out of reach for either team. It's just been the way these fights are going for King throughout this mid to late game as we have a look at the replay.
Yeah, let's see this again. Keep your eyes on Schwen because he goes through, gets a massive lockdown, and then no one can get through that equalizer Thresh Box combo. That was just, the equalizer combo. The Solar Flare went down on top of it. So that was just so well played. Wushin was lucky that he was able to pick up an exit kill on that one because it could have been even worse for King.
Yeah, King, though, not going to lose any of their inhibitor turrets, but only have one Baron available. onto MLXG, who did manage to survive, did manage to get out. I'm not entirely sure how, but he did.
Yeah, he's just very tanky. He does very little damage at this point now, though, however, because he hasn't gone that damage build, only has those raw stats to really rely on. So, once again, if they can get a fight like that, probably the only time a Rumble comp doesn't want to fight in a jungle.
Yeah, exactly. LGD just playing defensive duties. QSS now finished on Imp, is going to be able to stop a bit of that lockdown from coming in. I'm not sure whether it stops the tether from the Assault and Battery, though. I'm not entirely sure.
No, I don't think it stops the... actually, it might stop the tether. I don't think it... We'll have to see, but it definitely stops the fish. So he can drop the fish. Might be able to stop the Assault and Battery. I think more importantly, the Aegis is now finished up, as Acorn getting maybe a little bit baited in here. Ooh, nice flag to spot out the team.
Yeah, Schwen just sneaks around the side and spots every member of King, as Death Sentence going to go wide there as well. Lamb a little bit mad at some creeps on this map this game.
And I like the build coming out of Wayless here as well, going very defensive, understanding needs to survive the burst and get a lot of persistent damage out along with him. They don't have the burst team comp to really take these team fights in the first couple of seconds. They're the team right now looking to extend these team fights for 15, 20 seconds, because if they do that, it means that Assassin's job has failed and that they're able to take the team fight.
That being said, Assassin now finishing off this Void Staff. Almost has an Abyssal Scepter of his own as well, which is going to work fantastically in conjunction with Sky, who's actually already got one. So not necessarily as fantastically, because they do not stack, ladies and gentlemen. It's just if they're in different positions.
So we take a look at the CS a little bit quickly. I guess the only interesting point to really point out is the fact that there's a double CS advantage in the top lane.
Ridiculous.
And whilst LGD are now down by 1,000 gold, in the top lane there's a 2,000 gold deficit nearly, maybe 1,500 gold, sitting on Aurelia that isn't there on Sky. So this Aurelia continuing to scale up into the late game. We know how dangerous Aurelia can be at zoning, and really becomes Acorn's job to create a threat in the backline so people aren't willing to dive onto Wayless and Imp. If he gets scary enough and big enough to have to be dealt with before he can take out some of the carries, then the team fight swings completely in the opposite direction. Once again, Dragon up in 20 seconds. I wouldn't be surprised if Schweng once again goes for a steal. Don't think they want to fight yet. Maybe another 5 minutes until they're completely comfortable with that. But definitely an opportunity to pick up that 5th Dragon, get the team fight going.
Yep, King actually hanging around here. Sentinel's going to spot out the team members once again. Liam's going to kill that one. LGD, they're hanging around and they want this 5th Dragon. So much pressure on King. They can't let this one go to LGD, because you have to think that that could be the final nail in the coffin here. Might just put LGD over the edge in these team fights.
Yeah, they're definitely a little bit behind right now, but that 5th Dragon, especially if they're able to grab it and fight straight away, it's just a surprising burst in power. So King trying to play this one slowly, baiting the Dragon out of the pit, looking to start a fight.
Yeah, MLXG, he wants to find Imp if he can. And, oh, it's actually going to be stolen here by Schwen, and the Cataclysm to come down as well. There's the box down. Wayless using that Sonya's Hourglass to beautiful effect. LGD, Imp is on the run. He doesn't die this time. Yes, he does. Finally taken out by the passive here as King trying to hunt down the last few members of LGD. But Imp, he's the only one dead so far. And Acorn is going to be able to escape, and they get the 5th Dragon.
5th Dragon, 2-for-1 trade. Fantastic play out of Imp, but Schwen coming up with the steal, putting his team on his back 2 times in a row. We criticized his play, but coming up absolutely huge this time.
Yeah, he may have been listening to some of that, and he's definitely shown up today. Schwen with some beautiful performance on this Jarvan.
Wushin needs to be careful. Acorn looks thirsty, able to avoid just out of range.
Yeah, Boomerang Blade going to come across Wayless there as well. This Sivir doing a lot of damage, but nothing he can really do if he goes anywhere near Wayless at this stage. He's just dead.
Yeah, meanwhile in the bottom wave, huge turret actually crashing against that. So another inhibitor turret actually going down past half health. So maybe not great wave control coming out of LGD, and they need to correct that. They need to be able to pressure with this 5th Dragon buff, try and start some fights either in the jungle or siege some turrets.
Yeah, they've only got a little bit of time with this Dragon buff left. You can see Acorn burning a lot as Imp doesn't have it. He's the only member of his team to have missed out. It's a little bit sad. But he's doing some work here as well, and doesn't quite have that Mercurial Scimitar finished up just yet. He probably wants to finish that so he can get to that last Whisper.
Yes, certainly does. There's only armor really on the Vi, and he's not getting dove as heavily now as he was in the early game, so doesn't really need it that much. Probably looking to just sustain through. I wouldn't be surprised if, once again, we saw an even like a defensive item on top of the QSS come out, something that provides a little bit of health to get him away from the Fizz, because I just think his persistent damage with that rend is high enough. Once again, he doesn't need to be this huge threat. Looks like King have started up the Dragon, but being forced off it, 5 Dragon buffs still on LGD.
Yep, and Teleport has come through from Acorn as well on that backside. That's what gave King the idea to get the hell out. Managed to spot that one, as the Sentinel's going to find King here as well. LGD have an opportunity to engage this fight as they see fit. Sky a little bit further away. Solar Flare going to land on Layham. East instantly gets removed. There's the Assault and Battery onto Imp, but a lovely Cataclysm. Not enough to save Imp. And Acorn, he's going to fall down as well. The spike to come through, but Schwen does no damage. Wayless and Schwen, they are in charge of defense, and only Layham to die. That's what happens when the support gets focused.
Yeah, it certainly is. I don't really know how that happened. Wayless had absolutely no part in that fight. Dives in now.
Oh, Assassin is dead. Wayless now in a lot of trouble. He's going to fall down. Schwen, this could be the clean ace, and it is for King. The first inhibitor probably going to fall down here as Wushin going to do some work on this inhibitor turret. And Sky to come back in. This could be 2 inhibs down now for King.
Yeah, that'll definitely be double inhib, and that was a bad fight from LGD. They had all the tools to be able to win that one. In the end, great execution. They actually might just win the game here. Really good teleport to stop that minion dying.
Yeah, Sky actually going to come through to make sure that he's got as much creeps as he can. This last Nexus turret going to fall down. They've got a lot of damage. Wushin's here. PYL the only one up, as is Imp. But I don't think he's going to be able to do anything. And beautiful play from King to round out that game.
Yeah, they played terrifically throughout the mid-game. Turned it around with a couple of really good picks going deep onto Imp. And then when the 5th Dragon was in the opposition's hand, using that as a time to fight. Maybe a little bit of overconfidence coming through from LGD, but King absolutely coming up huge.
Yeah, and it was their team fight power that they demonstrated towards the end of that mid-game that was just beautiful to behold. You have to think that it was that response to that 4th Dragon going down, then just decimating a fight that really got them going. And let's have a look at a replay here just to see exactly how that worked.
Yeah, so this is the Baron fight that really turned it around. So we see Schwen, once again, keep an eye on here. Solar Flare goes down, Cataclysm on top, all that LeBlanc damage coming through on a whole unit, and chasing through was just not a good idea. In the end, they do grab Wayless here, who goes extremely deep for another kill, but Acorn is just too tanky at this part of the game. LGD were able to turn this team fight, and that really turned it back in their favor. However, King, they just looked fantastic and really played the game well.
Yeah, they did. And that was sort of the last hurrah there by LGD. And despite managing to win that fight, still just unable to come back, unable to claim any objectives. And King had complete Baron control, and that was traded for the Dragon control on the side of LGD. And if there was ever a debate, is that 5th Dragon worth the Baron? I'd say we've almost proven that.
Yeah, I think that still leaves it a little bit up. I think that this was 2 teams really trying to play to their strengths. In the end, King came out ahead, but don't count LGD out yet. They've had a terrific performance, looking to just get over the line.
Yeah, and we saw a similar thing yesterday with OMG fighting back against IG in the second match. We'll see whether LGD can do it here as we go into Game 2. Guys, don't go anywhere.